You will not believe this. The Milwaukee Bucks and Atlanta Hawks just played one of the craziest games you'll ever see, and the Hawks provided injury updates on Zaccharie Risacher and Kristaps Porzingis. Welcome back to Hawks Digest. My name is Michael Kobrinsky, and as we head into today's video, we're going to break it down into two segments. One, we're going to talk about how the Hawks and Bucks played one of the most insane games of the season at State Farm Arena today on Martin Luther King Day. And then in the second half of the video, to close it out, we'll discuss what the injury updates to Kristaps Porzingis and Zaccharie Risacher mean for this Hawks squad. But before we can get to that, we've got to get to this. Before we dive into the latest Atlanta Hawks news, this video is brought to you by Kalshi. And if you download Kalshi using the link below and enter code DIGESTNBA, you'll get $20 when you trade your first 100. Kalshi is the largest prediction market in the United States. On their platform, you can trade yes or no on real-life events, sports, elections, news, pretty much everything. Whether you're in California, Georgia, Texas, or anywhere else across the country, Kalshi is live in all 50 states. Sports fans, you can trade on game outcomes, playoff chances, or player performances, all on a regulated market where you can cash out at any time. And if we look at a relevant market with the Atlanta Hawks, Kalshi has Anthony Davis's next team being in Atlanta at a 6% chance. Now, with all the reporting that suggests that the Hawks are interested in Anthony Davis, that number does seem quite low. But with Kalshi, it's genuinely a smarter way to use your sports or news knowledge, and you can close positions whenever you want. Download Kalshi with the link in the description. Don't forget to use code DIGESTNBA to get your $20 bonus. And thank you once again to Kalshi for sponsoring this video. So, why was this game between the Hawks and Bucks on Martin Luther King Day today? Why was it so crazy? Well, you really got to dig into more than just the box score, because yes, the Hawks lost by 2, 112 to 110. They had a chance to win it on the final possession after an insane comeback, and we'll get to what transpired on the final events of that play a little bit later. But we've got to discuss the first half of this game, and particularly the three-point shooting when it comes to the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks shot 1 of 22 from 3 in the first half. I'll repeat that. 1 of 22. Some of the worst shooting you will ever see. And the worst part about it is these were not forced shots. The Hawks were getting good looks. Quin Snyder, they were playing that typical Quin Snyder offense where they were moving the ball, players were moving, there was a lot of motion, a lot of cuts, a lot of off-ball screens. CJ McCollum, countless wide-open looks. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Jalen Johnson, Onyeka Okongwu, V. Krejci, who mightily struggled in this game, shot 0 of 6 from deep. But everybody just could not hit a three until inside the final minute mark of the first half, when CJ McCollum was finally able to find the bottom of the net from beyond the arc. So that gives you just how kind of crazy the first half of this game was. And with all that being said, you would have thought, okay, the Hawks are down like 30 points at halftime. They were down 54 to 38 at halftime, and Milwaukee was shooting 8 of 20 from deep. So right away, the Hawks are losing the three-point battle 24 points to 3. But they are still within reach in this game because of their defense. Overall in this game, the Bucks only scored 112 points, and they had 20 points in the opening frame, 26 points in the third quarter. I thought Onyeka Okongwu did a really good job guarding Giannis Antetokounmpo in this game, but we'll get into some more individual highlighted players after we go over the box score here for the Hawks, because in the second half they almost pulled off an insane comeback. They end up hitting 11 three-pointers in the second half, finishing the game 12 of 42 from beyond the arc, and they scored 34 points in the third quarter and 38 in the fourth. When you score 72 points in one half, the Hawks, you expect them to win with how well they defended tonight. But unfortunately, because they shot so poor from 3 in the first half, they put themselves too far behind the 8-ball to ultimately come back. But we're going to highlight a few players from this box score here for the Hawks, and we'll start out with Nickeil Alexander-Walker. In 39 minutes, he scored 32 points, 9 of 20 from the field, 7 of 16 from 3, 7 of 7 from the line, 6 boards, 6 assists, 1 steal, and 1 block. For Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Obviously, just like all of his teammates, a really, really tough shooting first half. And he did not hit a three, went 0 of 7 and 1 of 8 from the field. So a pretty disastrous start there. But in the second half, this was a classic case of a tale of two halves for Naw here. 8 of 12 from the field, 28 points, 7 of 9 from deep in the second half. And he scored 17 points in the fourth quarter to really put on a furious comeback attempt. 5 of 6 from deep he shot in the fourth quarter to almost single-handedly basically will his team back in that final frame. So it was a great performance from Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I thought defensively it was a weird game from him because he kind of struggled with screen navigation, and normally that is his best trait. When the Hawks first signed Nickeil Alexander-Walker, you knew coming in one of the best screen navigators in the NBA. The offensive leap, I don't think many people expected that he was just going to become a consistent 20-point-per-game scorer. But in this game, I thought he had trouble keeping up with AJ Green. And when Giannis is setting those screens, it is a little bit harder. But just not the best defensive game from Nickeil, I thought, in this game. AJ Green had 18 points in this game, all of them coming from deep. Shot 6 of 12 there. So not the best defensive game for Nickeil, but offensively, he was just amazing in that second half and almost willed this team to a comeback. And his partner in crime in this one, Jalen Johnson, was also really good in the second half. In 40 minutes, 28 points, 11 of 24 from the field, 3 of 6 from deep, 3 of 6 from the free throw line. Now, Jalen has really struggled from the free throw line in the past few games. Hopefully, he can refine that stroke from the charity stripe here. But you love to see the 16 rebounds, the 6 assists, 1 block, 28 points. It was also a tale of two halves for Jalen Johnson, just like a lot of the Hawks in this game. First half, it was a really weird half for Jalen. He shot 5 of 13 from the field. Only 2 of those were threes, so he really struggled from 2-point range, was not able to finish around the rim well. But in the second half, he was able to get a couple dunks in transition, and it really felt like that opened up his entire game. He scored 17 points and grabbed 10 rebounds in the second half in 22 minutes. Also, shot 3 of 4 from deep. So the shooting variance in this game for the Hawks is absolutely nuts. They go from, in the first half, just could not hit anything, literally 0 of 21 to start the game. And then in the second half, they just go absolutely crazy from deep, hitting 11 of 20. So you're going to see some insane stat lines here. But the next guy I want to highlight here actually comes off the bench, and that is CJ McCollum. CJ McCollum in this game, everybody's going to talk about the final play here, and we'll get into that now. The Hawks looked like they were going to CJ McCollum on the final play here. He dribbles the ball up, but then he loses the handle. Ryan Rollins tries to dig the ball out as CJ fumbled it. It looks like Ryan Rollins probably fouls McCollum on his leg when he tries to dive for the ball. And then there's like 2.5, 3 seconds on the clock. He just chucks up a prayer kind of on a fadeaway deep 2 mid-ranger. It barely draws the front of the iron. The Bucks come away with the rebound and they win the game as time expires. But on this final play, regardless if the refs missed a foul here, and we'll find that out on the last 2-minute report. The Hawks fans definitely keep an eye on the last 2-minute report in this game. There were a couple of missed calls that might have gone the Hawks' way. Now, obviously, the last 2-minute report isn't going to change any of the result of this game, but you can kind of see if the refs missed any calls tomorrow. But for this final play, CJ, not a great execution at all here. It's been a rough start for CJ in a Hawks uniform, kind of taking over the offense a little bit. And on this final play, I would have liked to see the ball in either Nickeil Alexander-Walker's or Jalen Johnson's hand with how hot they were in that fourth quarter, especially Nickeil. For Jalen, he's got Giannis on him, ISOing against one of the best defensive players in the NBA. Probably not the best decision there, but especially for Nickeil with how he was going in that fourth quarter, I would have liked to see the ball into his hands. But either way, when CJ McCollum loses the handle here, Corey Kispert and Onyeka Okongwu were wide open next to him in the corner on the right side. He could have easily just swung the ball right after he fumbled it. And with like 3 seconds left on the clock, plenty of time for Kispert, a dead-eye three-point shooter, and Onyeka Okongwu, who we all know has greatly improved as a legit stretch big in this league. They both were wide open on the play. And I think looking back on the film, CJ McCollum's going to kind of be kicking himself here. As a veteran, he's got to know the time clock there. It just was not great execution from CJ McCollum on this play. But overall from the game, he had 17 points in 24 minutes, 5 of 11 from the field, 2 of 4 from deep, 5 of 6 from the free throw line, 3 boards, 3 assists, 1 block. The 17 points, look, I thought CJ McCollum, before that kind of fiasco that happened on the final possession, played a really good game. It wasn't like he was kind of hijacking the offense. He was playing within the flow, playing within the rhythm. Now, obviously, like his teammates, a lot of missed shots in that first half. But for CJ in the fourth quarter, I mentioned that Nickeil Alexander-Walker kind of carried his squad. But CJ McCollum had 12 points in the fourth quarter as well. So he had a really good fourth leading up until that final possession. Unfortunately, a lot of fans will just remember that final play. And I can't blame you. It definitely was bad execution in this game. And the last kind of theme, central aspect to this game I want to get to before we get to the injury updates is actually a Bucks player, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Because the Quin Snyder, and I thought this was smart, by the way, he switched up the matchups in this game. Jalen Johnson guarded Miles Turner, and Onyeka Okongwu guarded Giannis. We know that Onyeka has had some success against Giannis in the past, and in this game, they limited Giannis pretty well. They limited him very well in this game because Giannis ended up with 21 points. Now, 17 rebounds he's just going to get boards of Onyeka Okongwu. It is what it is. But I thought Onyeka played a heck of a game defensively. Really keeping Giannis in front, not allowing him to get too many easy buckets at the rim. And especially in the second half, when Giannis only takes 5 field goal attempts in the final 24 minutes of the game, you know you've done your job. I thought Okongwu was really good in this aspect, and he wasn't letting Giannis get downhill throughout the entire contest. You know, he does like to get the ball at the top of the key and sprint towards the rim. And he's trying to get a foul call, or he's going to finish over everybody with a huge dunk that Antetokounmpo is famous for there. But Onyeka really wasn't letting him get that head of steam to go downhill, picking him up pretty early. And I thought that was great defense for Onyeka. Now on the offensive side of the ball, not great for Onyeka. He was 0 of 6 from the field for 4 points, 0 of 3 from deep. Did grab the 10 rebounds though, 2 steals and a block. But for Onyeka, normally a lot of people have complained about his rebounding or his lack of paint protection. In this game, it was kind of the opposite story from the season so far, as I thought Okongwu was excellent defensively, really holding it down, really holding the paint down against Giannis and against the Bucks in general. Look, in this game, Milwaukee lost the paint points 38-52, and I thought a lot of that was because Onyeka Okongwu. Now, offensively, obviously not the greatest, but you're hoping for a bounce back here. And for Okongwu, he's generally shown that his offensive production has been more towards the consistent side for this season. But before we head out of this video, we've got to get to this injury report right up here. So, Kristaps Porzingis and Zaccharie Risacher missed this game again. And before the game, a few hours before, the Hawks released this update. Center Kristaps Porzingis, who's missed the last 5 games due to left Achilles tendonitis, he's been progressing in his recovery, and he'll be reevaluated in approximately one week. Now, for Risacher, who missed the last 5 games with that left knee bone contusion, he's doing the same thing, progressing well, and the Hawks say he's going to be reevaluated in approximately 1 week as well. We've talked about what this team lacks without Risacher and Porzingis. Without Porzingis, they lack another center. And by the way, you can see here on the box score, Christian Koloko, DMPCD. Honestly, I thought he would play in this game, especially with the matchup with Giannis. You want that length at the rim. Now, I don't think it was too big of a deal ultimately because Okongwu did so well defensively, but that is interesting there. But for Porzingis, it really has been a rough season for him in an Atlanta Hawks uniform, not being able to suit up. And now we know that there's going to be an extended run of Mohamed Gay and Asa Newell at center if Christian Koloko doesn't get these minutes. He was active, by the way, for today's game. So I'm not sure how much longer Quin Snyder can go with playing Asa Newell and playing Mohamed Gay exclusively at center, either one of those behind Onyeka Okongwu. Now, Asa did play some minutes at the 4 next to Mohamed Gay in this game. I don't think Quin Snyder went to that at the right time because Giannis was still on the floor and he was kind of able to bully Asa a little bit in this game. But regardless, these are problems that we've seen before, and they're going to continue for at least another week if Christian Koloko doesn't get back in the rotation. Now for Risacher, we did see a change in the starting lineup. If you look back here, look at that first starter right there. Corey Kispert starts the game in place of Vit Krejci. Vit has definitely been struggling over the past, say, week and a half, 5-6 games. He's not shooting the three ball well, and defensively, he's not giving the Hawks much. And I want to focus on the defensive aspect here with Risacher missing. Risacher is easily the Hawks' best defensive option at small forward. When you're looking at Luke Kennard, Corey Kispert, Vit Krejci, when CJ McCollum slides to the 2, pushing Luke Kennard to the 3, even two-way guys like Caleb Houston, all of these guys, they can definitely shoot the ball. Vit Krejci hasn't been, but overall, all of them can shoot the ball, but they're not great defenders. And Risacher, for his inconsistent shooting, we know that one thing, Risacher is going to be consistent. He's going to give effort on the defensive end. Now for Zach, sure, people are going to try to drive through him, push him over, use their physicality that he's not that strong. He's not that strong yet, but he's going to be in the right position, and he's a strong defensive IQ player. He knows those rotations. He's operated as the low man pretty well as far as help side rim protection and just being able to maybe draw some charges as well after centers roll to the rim. Now the Hawks are going to be missing that. Who can establish themselves as a relatively long term, because this is a reevaluation period for both these guys. So they're probably going to be out at least longer than 1 week. So who can establish themselves as that starting small forward position? Corey Kispert in 20 minutes, 2 points, didn't get the job done today. Vit Krejci has not got the job done. I don't think the Hawks are going to go to Caleb Houston to start. But honestly, they have no more small forwards besides Houston. So it looks like it's got to be one of Corey Kispert or Vit Krejci, unless Quin Snyder goes to playing Jalen Johnson at the 3 with Onyeka Okongwu and, say, a Muhammad Gay or Asa Newell. I don't think he's going to do that, but that remains to be seen. Could we see that? I don't think so, but it's going to be interesting to see it's going to be interesting to see how the Hawks can manage the rotation while these guys are out. And the question comes up, we're inside 3 weeks away from this trade deadline now. Are the Hawks holding Risacher and Porzingis out for trades? I highly doubt that, especially when it comes to Risacher. Risacher is in his second season. The reporting came out last week that they haven't been willing to trade Risacher, so I doubt that. Now for Porzingis, I think both of them, by the way, aren't being held out for trade. Porzingis might be a little bit more likely because of that expiring contract, because he could be a valuable commodity on the trade market. But overall, if you were to ask me, I don't think the Hawks are holding these guys out because of a trade. But let me know your thoughts on that idea in the comments below, and then also tell me what you liked and didn't like from that second half of the Bucks game. Obviously, that first half with the weird 3-point shooting isn't really realistic of what this Hawks offense can do. So definitely let me know in the comments below. Make sure to subscribe to Hawks Digest because we got some more content coming along the way. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Peace.